Welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a long form video in what feels like forever. But today I want to sit down and just talk about a topic that I feel like I've been thinking about a lot recently, especially as I kind of discover, and I should say uncover, more of my own confidence. And that is the invisible parts of being blind, the parts that people don't always see or don't see in general. And that ranges from so many levels of different things, but I felt like it was an important topic to really talk about because I think so many people with a visual impairment and people with disabilities experience this, where we always feel like, oh my gosh, there's all these layers to, well, I'm only going to speak on the visual impairment part because that's what I know, but there's all these layers to being blind. There's the good things, there's the really happy moments, but there's also the moments that people don't see, that people don't experience, like literally, no pun intended, but that sighted people, no matter how hard they may try, can't always understand or, fully get the same picture as what actually happens. So today I'm talking all about that. So pull up a chair, get comfy, and I don't know, I'm just excited to be back to really sit down and make full long form content again, because I've mostly just been doing shorts, as you see, with the advent calendar unboxing, and I have tons of content that I have planned for at least the rest of the month into next year. So let's do this. The first thing I think about a lot is planning routes. That's one of the biggest hindrances sometimes, because it's not always as easy as just hey, call an Uber, call a Lyft, call accessible, paratransit. There's so much more that goes into that. There's the parts about, okay, I can do all these things, I can call a Lyft, I can get an Uber, I can get from point A to point B, but there's also the, okay, I can't see exactly what's happening. How am I gonna track where I'm going? Will people actually show up on time if I have a really important appointment to get to? Will I be there in time? How far is it? Do I have to take into consideration, the fact that I don't know, I could show up late, and then sometimes people don't always want to help. And so this has been something I've been talking a lot about, especially with my brother's girlfriend, because she's obviously, she's fully sighted, and so for her it's we speak about, hey, I want to try all these cool things, I want to go to all these really cool places, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to just it's not as easy to just be oh, I'm just gonna go. And maybe you're that blind person that your confidence is through the roof, and I really do love that for you, but I'm still learning how to get to that point. So my biggest thing for me is planning routes. Sometimes it's not as easy as calling a Lyft, a Uber, or a paratransit. Sometimes it's those situations where you actually need someone else that a friend, a family member, a partner, to step in, to guide you, to be there, to support you. And so sometimes those are the parts of being blind that I think a lot of people don't experience, that don't, that can see. They don't see those layers that come into play there. So there's that. I think social settings is another really huge one for me. I'm grateful that I have really great people in my life, great friends, who anytime we're in a social setting and I'm meeting people that they know from high school or from whatever, it's never been, in my opinion, I'm an awkward person. I feel I go in and I'm very oh my god, I'm the only blind girl here. And I feel I've gotten better at quieting that thought, because for me now I'm just okay, that's okay. If they know I'm blind, cool. If they don't know I'm blind, that's cool too. There's no need for me to feel uncomfortable in those situations, right? When it's with people I know and they're introducing me to people that they know, so on and so forth, I'm not in this by myself. If I was in it by myself, that's a different conversation, but I'm here with a friend that I know that knows these people, so it works out fine. But I think social settings in general, I'm someone that I want to go out and do more stuff, and that's my biggest goal moving forward, and the biggest challenge for me, just challenging myself, not the challenge in getting to those places and doing it, but feeling comfortable, feeling confident enough to where I can be like, okay, I'm gonna go to this event without a friend, you know? Like, I don't see that there's anything wrong with doing that. And I think for so long, I was someone who just really relied so heavily on going to things with friends and just really having people with me. But I want to meet more people, you know? I want to be able to put myself out there in so many ways, like meeting new friends, meeting a romantic partner, like, you know, I want to be able to do that. And I feel like social settings can be uncomfortable, especially from the visual aspect of it, right? Because you're in an event, you're trying to network with people, or you're trying to meet people, and it's like, hey, these people don't know that you can't see, and so it's like you're not picking up on the visual vibes. So I think sometimes that is like a really big thing, the invisible parts of being blind that people don't always see or really understand that well. I would say the next one for me is finding help. Like I said, I talked to my brother's girlfriend a lot about this because she is someone who, like, she's honestly my hype girl. Like, she hypes me up. She's like, you can do it, girl, I believe in you. And so I'm like, I really appreciate that, and like, I love her. But like, one of the biggest things that I told her about is like finding help. So I feel like when I told her like, hey, finding help isn't always as easy because people aren't always as open and willing to help you. And so she's like, well, you know, that is someone that they clearly are in the wrong, because why would they not help someone, like, regardless of who you are? And so for me, my biggest thing is always sometimes finding the help. I have a friend who's super confident. Like, she can go out there and just be like, hey, I need help. And I'm the type of person where I'm so anxious and like in my head that I'm like, hi, I need help. Do you mind helping me if that's okay? And so like finding help can be really tough. And so when we talk about like going to social settings and just like finding, you know, planning routes and doing all these things, at some point along that way, you're gonna have to ask for help. You're gonna have to figure out how do you find help, regardless of what that looks like. And so for me, it's like really building that confidence of just being like, okay, I don't really care. I don't care if you work here or not. Like, I'm gonna ask someone for help to get to wherever I need to get to in this space. So I think that's sometimes like the most hardest thing to explain to a lot of sighted people that just don't get that aspect of like, hey, it's not as easy for me to just walk up to someone and ask for help, because I live in New York and I love New York. You know, people here are really great, but there's a lot of people here that aren't as great and who like are very, very outspoken is the word I'll use. The next one I think for me is a blind person's perspective on like what everyone else experiences. So for me, again, that's day-to-day travel, that's organizing a space, that's you know, that can be so many layers of things. Understanding that yes, I can do a lot of things that my sighted people in my life can do, but I have to adapt it, and it has to be in a way that feels comfortable and feels right for me. I can't just go out there and wing it and say, yeah, I'm just gonna go out and not think about how I'm gonna get there, how I'm gonna get back, who I'm gonna ask for help, you know, finding the places I need to get to. And so I think like that's my blind perspective on just the everyday things that people experience anyways. I think another huge thing for me is just the mental blocks and the unwanted thoughts that can come with being blind. Again, it goes back to, will people be nice? Will people accommodate me? You know, do I look weird? Do I look like I know what I'm doing? Do I not look like I know what I'm doing? Is this space gonna be accessible? You can't do it. You know, that's another really big mental block of like, you think you can do it, you feel confident, but then your mind goes, actually, no, you can't do it. And then when you get to that place and you're like, okay, I'm here and I'm, you know, trying to just level up my confidence, your brain will then step in and say, I mean, but no one's gonna help you, right? So like, there's all these mental blocks that come with being blind that, again, these are the invisible parts of being blind that people don't see, that people that are sighted and able-bodied do not experience. And as much as I love my sighted people, I love my sighted friends, my sighted family, everyone, I think it's really hard for them to grasp the understanding and the tax it takes because it really does like have such a mental tax on you, and it can really hinder you sometimes. And so I feel like those are some of my biggest things that I've thought about recently that I really just wanted to sit down and share. And you know, sometimes I'm out there and I can do it and I feel perfectly fine, and maybe it's a good day where I'm like, okay, my confidence is up there, I feel good about this, and I can just like look like I know what I'm doing, but internally I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do again? Like, what are we? But you know, it's all part of growing, I feel, as a person. It's all part of just becoming a better individual and leveling up. And I feel like for me, my next steps is really just about how do I do these things without feeling like I'm, you know, out of place, when it's like I very much deserve to be in these spaces, attend these events, go to these things, and be in social settings just as much as my sighted people, just as much as anyone else does. So if you feel like you're in that stage of life where you're like, I really just want to do more stuff for myself, by myself, and not always have to like be around like with people that, you know, that I know, which is great obviously sometimes. If you want to extend your social circle and, you know, meet, you know, start dating or date more, like I think the biggest thing for us is just like knowing like, hey, we deserve to be in these spaces. We deserve to meet people just like everybody else deserves to meet people. So I really just wanted to share that. I hope that you all are having a great start to your December. Happy holidays. I have tons more holiday content planned that I want to share. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see y'all next time.